Hi there, my name is Oscar Kampa, and I'm super excited to be able to bring you all the information you're going to need on the Dream for All program. You may have heard about it from friends and family, maybe saw it on social media, or maybe even saw it in the news because it's definitely been making some headlines over the past several months. And the reason for this is because it's one of the most amazing programs to hit the market. And this is the second time it's actually coming back. But how do I know this? Well, I've been doing this for a little bit over 13 years now. And my father, who's also in the mortgage industry, has been doing it for over 30 years. And so I've been helping out families throughout all of California, up in Sacramento and San Francisco, down to San Diego, where my office is located in Los Angeles. My company, Guild Mortgage, is actually nationwide, so we can help in all the entire country. And so why is this program so important and why is it so popular? Reason being is because it can help you get up to $150,000 towards the down payment of purchasing your first home. It's one of the highest down payment assistance caps that they have out there. And this program was so popular when it first came out a couple of years back that the money that was reserved for it actually dried up in a matter of a couple of weeks. Now, the important thing to note is that this time around, things are different. They've made some changes and moved some things around to now where if you're a family and you're eligible for it, you're actually going to have time to look for the home that you love instead of feeling rushed and pressured to buy one because the money's going to go away. And so without further ado, within the next 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to dive into all the information on how this program exists, what it does, some scenarios on it, so that way you have everything you need to make a decision on if you want to apply for this assistance or not. And I wanted to do it in a way where you didn't feel pressure to go to someone's office, go to an event, hop on the phone with someone, hop on a video call with someone, and try to get your questions answered. I strongly feel that in my career, it's important to give my clients the information that they want so they can watch it at their leisure. And so let's go ahead and dive into this. So this California Dream for All mortgage program, the main purpose of it is to provide affordable home ownership opportunities to low and moderate income individuals. So some of the key features of this particular program, and the most biggest one, is it's assistance up to $150,000. It is 20% of the sales price or $150,000. Now, for instance, if you're going to buy a $1 million home, 20% of that is $200,000. So they will not assist with that full amount, but they'll assist for a maximum of $150,000. And we'll jump into a scenario so you can see exactly how everything is calculated. But that's the biggest feature of this program. By helping with $150,000 towards a down payment, then your monthly mortgage payment is going to be lower. And so the next key feature of this is it comes with market interest rates. Most down payment assistance programs have a way higher interest rate, which means because we're lending you additional money, we're going to charge you a higher interest rate so that way they can recoup some more money as you make your monthly payments every single month. But this particular program uses a standard market interest rate where it's not padded significantly because of the fact that they're lending you this. Now, this is a shared appreciation loan, which we'll dive into exactly what that is. But the other key feature of this is there's flexible income limits. So depending on what county you live in California, the income limit might be higher or lower, but it's flexible depending on what the household income is in your particular county. It's not just a standard income limit for all of California, which is really good because different counties are more expensive than others. The next key feature is there's a low credit score entry. You don't have to have an 800 credit score. You don't have to have a 750 credit score. It is a low credit entry, and we'll dive into the details of that shortly as well. Another key feature is it does require homebuyer education and counseling, and that's specifically so that way you learn about everything that's involved with being a homeowner, purchasing a home, and utilizing this particular program, which is a shared appreciation loan. The next key feature is you have to apply with a CalHFA approved lender. Now, why is this a key feature? Because not everyone knows how to do these loans. Not everyone knows how to structure them. Not everyone knows how to find the most savings with these loans. So CalHFA, the organization that is in control of this program, has essentially said, by using our preferred partners, our lenders that are approved to do this, we know that you're going to be in good hands. And beautiful thing about it is my company, Guild Mortgage, is a approved lender with CalHFA. So we can do all of the CalHFA programs, not only this Dream for All program, but all of their plethora of down payment assistance options, which we'll dive into a little bit more towards the end. So let's go ahead and dive into what a shared appreciation loan is. Now, this image might look like a foreign language, and we're going to go into a breakdown of it. But in essence, a shared appreciation loan is when CalHFA, essentially the organization that's giving the money, is going to have part ownership of your home. So if they're lending you 20%, that means they're going to have ownership of 20% of the appreciation. So for instance, on a $500,000 home, we're going to lend you $400,000 for the first loan. That's how much we are going to lend you by getting pre-approved with us. Then we're going to go to CAHAFA and say, hey, we need 20% of this $500,000, which is $100,000. And you can see that in the first little house that is broken down. $400,000 loan from us, $100,000 loan from them, which is the Dream for All loan program. This brings the total amount of loan to $500,000. So if you're purchasing a home at $500,000, there's essentially zero down payment in there because we're covering the entire cost of it. Let's say 5 years later, the home value goes up to $640,000. In California, it's not unheard of. Appreciation in homes are crazy out here. So you will be gaining equity every single year. But in this particular scenario, we're going to say 5 years later, the value has gone up to $640,000, which means it's gone up appreciation in value, a total of $140,000. So the shared appreciation is $112,000 that essentially you're keeping, and the 20% of that $140,000 goes to the Dream for All CalHAFA, which is $28,000. So you're keeping $112,000. Meanwhile, you're paying back $28,000 to make that complete total of $140,000. Now, we're going to use a nice round number on the next slide because 640,000 just the numbers translate a little bit differently. But in essence, when you sell the home, which is 5 years later, you're going to pay off the first mortgage, which was the $400,000. We're going to estimate that now there's a balance of $370,000. You're going to pay back the Dream for All loan, which is $128,000. That's the $100,000 that they lent, plus the $28,000 in appreciation. And you're going to keep $142,000 of equity in your pocket. This brings the total amount that you sold your home for, $640,000. And again, this image is a little bit complicated, but it's just to illustrate what's taking place in all this. We're going to go over a way simpler example where we're going to see everything at a nice round number. So this is essentially the calculation of what it is that we're working with. So this is the scenario of a shared appreciation loan, which is the big key here on this Dream for All program. It is a shared appreciation loan, and that's why they're able to help you with 20% and you not have any monthly payments on that 20%, it not have accruing interest on that 20%, and in essence, not being charged anything for that 20% except for having on the appreciation value. So we're going to take the same purchase price of $500,000, which is the original sales price or the original appraisal, whichever is less, and we'll dive into that when we actually speak. Then we're going to take 20% of that because that's what it is that they're going to lend, either 20% or maximum $150,000. So you're going to multiply it times 0.20, bringing the shared appreciation loan, the Dream for All aspect, of $100,000. So as of right now, we have a home that we're buying for $500,000. The Dream for All is going to assist with $100,000 because that's 20% of the $500,000. So if you're with me, great. Now, at the time of sale, refinance, or other transfer, we're going to say the value has gone up to $700,000, a nice round number of $700,000. So C, the new value, $700,000. The appreciation, which is C minus A, you have $700,000 minus what you bought it for, $500,000, gives you $200,000 in appreciation. This is what is described as the equity of the home. How much equity have you gained in the home? It's appreciation. This is how much the value has gone up over X amount of years. And so that's how you get the appreciation. You're going to subtract the new value minus the original value of what you purchased it for, giving you $200,000. Now you're going to take 20% of that because remember, this is a shared appreciation loan, which means because we're lending you 20% up front, we want 20% of the appreciated value. So 20% of that gives you D, $40,000. So now what we've done is we've purchased the home at $500,000. We lent you an additional $100,000 towards the down payment because that's 20%. The value, the new value when you sell it, transfer, refinance is $700,000. bringing the total appreciation of what you bought it for versus now what the new value is to $200,000. And we've taken 20% of that to give you a total of $40,000 in appreciation of what you're going to pay back. So now, what do you owe when you sell the home, refinance it, or transfer it over to someone else? You have the original shared appreciation loan, which is B, $100,000. That's what we initially lent you, plus the shared appreciation of what the new value is, which is D, $40,000, for a grand total that you're going to pay back of $140,000. Now, keep in mind, the value of your home went up by $200,000, and you're paying back $140,000, which is the original loan plus 20% of the appreciation. Now, there is something that they put in place that is beautiful and amazing, especially because homes in California go up drastically in terms of value and appreciation. And they said that the max that you will ever owe is 2.5% of the original amount. So if you get the full $150,000 of assistance, the max you're ever going to pay back is $375,000. So this means if you hold this loan for 10, 20, the full 30 years, and the home goes up by $1 million, you're not going to pay 20% of that whole amount. You're going to pay the total, which is the maximum of $375,000 and not a penny more. They essentially capped it at how much it is that they're saying, hey, this is what you're going to pay back to us. So even if it's gone up more, you're never going to go over that amount. So now let's talk about eligibility and requirements. As a borrower, which is an applicant, you must occupy the property as a primary residence within 60 days of becoming the owner. This means that anyone that has applied for the loan with you, if it's you and your significant other, you and your spouse, you and a family member, you must occupy, which means live in the home within 60 days of becoming the owner. You do have to be a citizen or a other national or United States or a qualified alien, right? And there's specifics around this, which is why when you speak to a licensed loan originator, we take a look at this. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to absolutely be a US citizen. We can do a qualified alien, which is like a permanent residence, things like that. And then at least one borrower must live currently in California. So if, let's say, you are purchasing, you live in California, but your sister is going to be moving from Texas over here to live in the home as well, that's perfectly fine. At least one of you has to be a current resident in California. Let's talk about the education aspect, because there is an education requirement. In order to be eligible, you have to complete buyer education counseling, either in person or virtually. You have to complete an online course, which is about 8 hours. And these all talk about and teach you about applying for a loan, the do's and don'ts before being a homeowner, what to do during the process, and how to be an amazing homeowner. So there are things that are specific for first-time home buyers to teach you and show you what you're going to be walking into. That way, there's no surprises. And specifically for this program, there's a shared appreciation education course that will teach you specifically what we just went over in terms of the breakdown of numbers, of how there's a shared appreciation in the value of the home and all of that good stuff in terms of how to walk in, knowing what you're getting into versus it catching you off guard. If you were able to follow my second scenario, not the image is a little bit complicated, then for the most part, the shared appreciation education course is going to be a breeze, and you're going to walk in kind of knowing what to expect already. Credit score requirement, 680 minimum credit score. So check your Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, the bank score that they give you. If it's around there or higher, you will be in a good position. Keep in mind, what we do is a soft pull credit score. So when we're going through the entire process, we won't do a hard inquiry on your credit. We'll do a soft pull, which gives us all the information we need as a bank, but it won't impede on your credit score or affect it in any negative way. It won't even come up as an inquiry. And it's just a way for us to help our clients see where they stand without actually running a full hard pull on their credit. But a 680 credit score is what's required. Income limits. CalHFA has set income limits specifically to help those in the low to moderate income level, and it does vary by county. So in the 3 main counties that it is that our team services, but keep in mind, we do work throughout all of California. Los Angeles is at a 155,000 annual income limit. Orange County goes up to 202,000. Riverside is 149,000. And if you want the full list because your county isn't listed here, please feel free to text me or email me, and I'll make sure I get that list out to you so that way you can see all of the counties throughout all of California. But the income limit is important. This is going to be based on qualifying income of anyone that's applying for the loan. So if there's only one applicant, it's going to be based off of their income. If there's two, three, four, it's going to be based off of their income. And so the qualifying income is a very important aspect because, again, we are trying to help as much families as possible that truly need the assistance. And this is a big way that we do it, by setting an income limit so that way we can help the low to moderate income levels. Let's talk about some more requirements, which is being a first-time home buyer. A first-time home buyer is explained, and the definition is as follows. You cannot have owned and occupied your home in the last 3 years, which means you cannot have been a homeowner in the last 3 years in the home that you're living in. And keep in mind, all borrowers must be first-time home buyers. You cannot live in a home owned by your spouse in the past 3 years. And if any of these have happened more than 3 years ago, you're eligible. So for instance, if you owned and lived in your home, but you sold it 4 years ago, you are good to go. Say you're currently renting, maybe you're living with your parents, maybe you're living with your in-laws or living with family, that's perfectly fine. But neither you or your spouse can have owned and lived in the property that you're within the past 3 years. Super important. First-time home buyers, that's what we're trying to help. That's who we're trying to help. First generation home buyer. This is a big one. This is one of the biggest changes that happened from the first time this program came out and the program now. And we're going to go ahead and dive into what a first generation home buyer is. Keep in mind that at least one borrower must meet this definition of a first generation home buyer. So unlike the first time home buyer requirement, where all borrowers, applicants need to be first time home buyers, not all need to be first generation home buyers. At least one applicant has to be a first generation home buyer. For instance, I'm helping a couple out where one of the applicants has owned a home in the past. Their parents has owned a home, but the other spouse has not. Their parents have not. So they are technically a first generation home buyer, which means they are eligible to apply. So let's go ahead and dive into what the actual definition is. So first generation home buyer has not been on title. Title is essentially being the owner of a home, held ownership interest, or have been named on a mortgage to a home on permanent foundation and own land. This has to do with mobile homes, which if you have questions of that, reach out to me, in the United States in the last 7 years. So you cannot have had ownership interest, been on title, or been named on the mortgage on a home in the past 7 years. And to your knowledge, your parents, biological or adoptive, do not have any present ownership interest in a home in the United States, or if deceased, whose parents did not have any ownership interest at the time of death in a home in the United States. And this is also for anyone that is involved with foster care or institutional care, that there's some moving factor there. So definitely reach out to us. But the key here is that you have not held title or ownership in the past 7 years, and your parents have not owned any real estate currently or at the time of their death. So first generation, there's a couple of moving factors there, but we'll get it dialed in. And if your specific circumstances are a little bit different, reach out to us and we'll get it figured out to see if you're eligible and if we could get you into the running for this program. Okay. So now, the term, very important. This is a 30-year loan. It is a fixed interest rate, which means the rate is not going to go up. It's not going to go down. It's going to be the same rate that you enter with. So what happens in those 30 years? If you do not do anything to the property in 30 years, then at that 30-year mark, when the first mortgage is completely paid off, you will pay back the original down payment assistance, the 20% or the $150,000 that was borrowed, plus 20% of the appreciation of value, up to the maximum of 2.5%. But there is a repayment if you do any of the following within 30 years. So repayment of the principal and any share of the appreciation on the shared appreciation loan shall be due and payable upon any of these. So if you do any of these within 30 years, then you will have to pay back the loan plus the 20% appreciation. So transfer of title, this means giving ownership to someone else on title with the county, sale of the property, paying off the first lien, So in the $500,000 scenario, we were lending $400,000. Dream for All was lending $100,000. If at any point you pay the $400,000 off, then it is due. So this is kind of at the 30-year mark. At that point, you're paying the entire first loan back, which means now this is due. Payoff of the subordinate loan principal balance, which means the $100,000 that they lent you, if you pay that off, then the 20% appreciation is now due. And you have to, and essentially you're paying it back to them now at that point. If you refinance the first loan, which is what it is that we're lending you, the formal filing and recording of a notice of default, this comes to the point where after you're not making mortgage payments and you default on the loan, unless it's rescinded, which means unless you come out of default, and this loan is not assumable. I have a lot of families that are asking me, can I just, pass this loan off to my next of kin? You cannot. This loan stays with those that are applicants until they do something related in terms of selling it or transferring the deed. But then that assistance plus the 20% appreciation is something that you have to pay back. So it is not assumable. So now talking about refinancing, because we all know that we're in a market right now where interest rates are a little bit high, but CalHFA is going to allow you to refinance one time only. So if let's say the rates right now are, for conversational purposes, 8%, and in 10 years, they're down to 5%, you can refinance the first loan, which is the $400,000 that we lent you, not the $100,000, and lower that interest rate and not have to pay back the Dream for All loan plus the 20% appreciation. So you'll still take advantage of the savings and the lower interest rate, but not have to pay everything back. So they're allowing you to do this one time throughout the 30 years. So that way you can take advantage of a lower interest rate. Again, this is beautiful because we all know that we're in a high interest rate market right now. But if we can help with $150,000, we could help you lock in a home of your dreams where it may have not been possible any other way. And in the future, refinance you to a lower interest rate to save money on your monthly payments without it affecting everything that we did to help you initially, then it's just gold. That's why this is one of the most amazing programs that has ever existed. So refinancing one time throughout the entire loan. Okay, so keep in mind, interest rates are a little bit high right now, but you will be able to refinance into a lower interest rate and save money that way. So what does the application process look like? Well, step one is a discovery call. It's not necessarily required, but this is where you speak to someone on our team, myself personally, to figure out if you're eligible over the phone. Maybe you have some specific questions about the first generation aspect or the first time home buyer aspect. We basically just have what's called a discovery call to see if we can pre-qualify you over the phone without any documents. After this call, we'll essentially say, hey, yes, you are eligible. We strongly believe that you can. We'll move to step two, which is the loan application process. This is where you'll submit a loan application online to us and the supporting documentation that is to verify income, verify your identity, things of that nature. We take a look at your credit with a soft pull, so it won't affect your credit score. And we review all this to essentially pre-approve you. Now, what documents are required? For the most part, it's going to be a bulk of income documentation. Because we're helping you with all of the down payment, bank statements won't really be required unless there's certain aspects of your income that are related. But for the most part, recent pay stubs, last 2 years of tax returns and W-2s, 1099s if you work that way as well, Social Security award letters, because we can use Social Security income, retirement income, pensions, child support, alimony, disability income. We can use a plethora of different types of income. So whatever you think that you're essentially making in terms of income, run it by us. That's something that we'll talk about on the discovery call. But if you choose to not have the discovery call because you don't want to talk to anyone, you just want to see if you're eligible, you can definitely just submit the application online, upload your documents to our secure portal, and we'll be able to review it in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. Once you actually submit your loan application, we'll be able to be in a position to either pre-approve you or put together a home plan. If you're pre-approved, our team will be reviewing your application along with the credit report and all of your income documentation, and we'll issue the pre-approval letter. There's no additional documents that we need for that if you provided everything in step two. But if we can't pre-approve you for this particular program, there are plenty of other programs that we have that assist with down payment, or we can put together a free home plan so that we know exactly what you need to do to be in a position to purchase a home, whether it be in 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. We've helped families put together home plans where sometimes it took them 2 to 3 years, but they were able to achieve home ownership because they knew what to do. Step four, if you are pre-approved, is you're going to create an account and register for the Dream for All voucher. So something that they're doing different with this particular program is doing a voucher, right? They're essentially running a lottery on who it is that's going to get a voucher to use these funds. Because these funds dried up in a matter of 2 weeks, they're basically saying, hey, get pre-approved, register on our website. And after 30 days of registering, which registrations went live on April 3rd, then we'll go ahead and announce who has gotten a voucher. Just because you register doesn't mean you're going to get a voucher. It's going to be at random, but you'll be in the running to take advantage of getting $150,000. So you'll register online, get for the Dream for All voucher, and essentially you will wait. Now, there are some key documents that you're going to need to upload, such as IDs for all applicants, the Dream for All pre-approval letter that we're going to give you, proof of residence, parent information if applicable, foster care documentation if applicable. When we send you the website, there's a video there that walks you through exactly how to submit how to register for the voucher. It's a step-by-step walkthrough. It also lets you know what documents you're going to need so that way you're prepared. It's a very easy process. Then step 5 is wait. We're going to wait for them to do the drawing of the lottery for the voucher. We have until the end of April to register. So don't be in a rush to do it this week or next week, but the earlier that you do it, the better it's going to be for you. That way you're not stressing out. So once that time frame of registering has closed, no one else will be able to register to try to get the voucher. They're limiting it to a window of opportunity. And if you're in there, then you're going to have an opportunity to get your hands on the actual voucher and get up to $150,000. So once that happens, they will select those that can take advantage of the voucher to go out and look for a home and get it under contract and become homeowners. Now, step 6 is the house hunt. So if you're chosen, you're going to use the time frame that they give you, which I believe it's about 90 days, to go out and search for a home, house hunt, walk through it, envision yourself in it, submit an offer, and get into contract with your real estate agent. If you don't have a real estate agent, reach out to us. We have an amazing network of some top tier real estate agents that do real estate 24/7. This is all they do, is all they know, and they specialize in California, so they can take care of you. But if you get selected, you'll then go through that process. If for whatever reason you don't get selected, as I mentioned, there's a plethora of other down payment assistance programs that we can help you out with, including zero downs, help with closing costs, and things of that nature. There's other ways for you to become a homeowner and get your down payment covered. It may not be the 20% down, but it's a way for you to keep the money in your pocket and get into a home. That way you don't have to rent anymore or maybe live with family. We don't know your situations, but everyone's circumstances are different. So if that's something you are interested in, we can definitely run through those options as well and show you how being a homeowner is possible. And that is it. So I strongly believe that with the right time, with the right team, it might be the right time. And with this program, it might be the right time for a lot of families. But just taking the chance, taking that step, and being in the running is a big step. Because if you get chosen, it can be a total game changer. If you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to my application website where you can just go direct. If you don't want to speak to me, you don't want to speak to anyone on my team, and you just want to see if you're eligible, scan that QR code and go ahead and fill in your information, upload your documents. We'll get back to you in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. But if you did want to hop on the phone with me, if you wanted to have a discovery call, you can text or call me to 323-899-0805 or email me and we'll schedule a call. We want to answer your questions. We want you to feel confident and know what options are out there for you. There's an amazing opportunity here. And even if you don't get selected for this, there's plenty of other opportunities as well. If owning a home in the next 24 months is something that is on your to-do list, we can help you with minimal money out of your pocket. So thank you so much. I hope this helped out tremendously. Looking forward to helping guide you home. And if you have any questions, please, please, please reach out. If not, scan that QR code and find out if you're eligible. Find out if we could get you registered for that voucher to be in the running to take advantage of up to $150,000 towards purchasing your first home. Have an amazing day.